I have seen plenty of individuals, many of them enlisted members, who, when given the opportunity, have succeeded not because of their sex, not because of color, not because of their sexual identity, but because of their worth ethic and merit. Mr. Secretary, when using your definition of DEI, I think there's only one individual at the Pentagon right now who got his job based on that merit, and that is you, and you got it because of sucking up to your boss.
In a dramatic political showdown, Pete Hegseth entered the hearing with an air of confidence, expecting an easy exchange. Armed with his usual talking points, he was unprepared for the fierce scrutiny that awaited him. Gil Cisneros, displaying the composure of a seasoned debater, swiftly dismantled Hegseth's record in under 5 minutes. Each point he made peeled back layers of Hegseth's failures, leaving the audience in stunned silence. The tension in the room escalated as Cisneros delivered a line so incisive it resonated deeply, highlighting Hegseth's loyalty to Trump over genuine principles. This moment was more than just a verbal clash. It was a passionate call for accountability that struck a chord with those present. The exchange not only exposed Hegseth's shortcomings, but also underscored the need for integrity in political discourse. As the hearing concluded, it became clear that this confrontation would be remembered as a pivotal moment, echoing far beyond the walls of the hearing room.
I recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Cisneros.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, so many topics to cover. I represent California's 31st District, located in Southern California, where you've deployed the National Guard and Marine Combat Battalion in an effort by this administration to provoke a confrontation. God only knows for what reason. As my colleague from Tennessee mentioned, the military has been activated before by the president, but let's tell the whole story. President Johnson federalized the troops after the governor of Alabama activated them to keep black students out of the University of Alabama. President Johnson did it so the students could attend the university. He did it for the right reason. He corrected a wrong. California did not ask the president for help, and the presence of the military is an effort by this administration to intimidate and incite fear and violence amongst its citizens. You failed at ensuring basic operational security by sharing classified data over an unclassified network. This was blatant, lazy, and put service members' lives at risk. And knowing that your office is a SCIF, I hope you are not bringing in your devices, your personal cell phone, or even your work phone, because that's not supposed to be in there either, right, your cell phone, into your office to send these signal chat texts. Your blatant lack of basic OPSEC would have gotten you forced you to resign from any other administration. You're requiring 8% cuts across all services, not to save the taxpayers money, but to fund President Trump's pet projects. You talk about quality of life for our service members, but yet you take $1 billion away from the Army that was meant to improve their barracks and their living. You said that money waste, but we don't know that yet because we haven't seen a budget. If the president has projects he wants funding for, you need to come before this body and provide reasoning, not just shift money around. Right now, you are stealing from our service members, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Now you have repeatedly said that you will judge every individual on their merit. Is that true?
Unlike the previous administration,
you will
yes,
judge
we are focusing
simple yes
on,
or no.
for our service
Judge
members,
everybody
how
on their
good they
merit.
are at their job, yes.
But yet you are separating thousands of service members who are performing and doing their job at a high level. They are being separated not based on merit. You know, some have been recommended for early promotion and have gotten awards and are doing a great job, but you are separating for no other reason, and frankly, I think you just don't like them. And you are classifying many of them as a national security threat, which is simply not true. You asked the Secretary of the Navy to change the name of the ship, because Harvey Milk didn't meet your definition of warrior ethos. If a Korean War veteran and a Navy diver who gave his life for standing up for his beliefs doesn't meet your definition, I don't know what will. You keep talking about recruiting, but let's face the facts here, right? Recruiting started improving before President Trump even came into office, and the reason that changed was because of the investment that was put into recruiting. Now, I was at the Pentagon at the time, and I know how much we invested in it, and I know how much of the services. And when you take away that investment, you're going to get exactly what happened in President Trump's first administration. In 2019, we had the same recruiting crisis that, back in 2019 when he was president the first time. You continue to attack diversity, but I have always said diversity is about creating opportunity, and I have seen plenty of individuals, many of them enlisted members, who, when given the opportunity, have succeeded not because of their sex, not because of color, not because of their sexual identity, but because of their worth ethic and merit. Mr. Secretary, when using your definition of DEI, I think there's only one individual at the Pentagon right now who got his job based on that merit, and that is you, and you got it because of sucking up your boss. And with that, I yield back.
What just unfolded between Congressman Gil Cisneros and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth wasn't politics as usual, it was a reckoning. A moment where civility cracked and raw truth flooded in. Most hearings in Washington are predictable rituals of polite sparring and rehearsed talking points. But this one felt different. Cisneros didn't come to posture. He came to strip away the illusion of competence that's too often mistaken for leadership. When he spoke, the tone in the room shifted from routine to radioactive. From the first question, Cisneros made it clear he wasn't dealing with Hegseth as a fellow politician. He was addressing him like a commander, dressing down a subordinate who'd betrayed the mission. Every sentence hit with the precision of a seasoned officer who knows the difference between honor and theater. And it wasn't just about policy. It was about the soul of American military leadership. When Cisneros invoked President Lyndon Johnson's 1965 decision to federalize the Alabama National Guard to protect civil rights marchers in Selma, he wasn't pulling a random history lesson. He was drawing a moral line in the sand. Johnson used military power to defend the Constitution, to expand justice when local governments were complicit in violence. By contrast, Cisneros reminded the country, President Trump deployed troops to intimidate protesters in American cities, including Cisneros' own district in California. That comparison hit like an artillery round. One president used force to protect freedom, another used it to silence dissent. It was more than a history lesson, it was a mirror held up to Hegseth's face. What kind of leader, Cisneros was asking, uses the same institution that once liberated Americans from oppression to now suppress their voices? And then came the escalation, operational security, the kind of military code drilled into every recruit from day one. To civilians, it might sound like bureaucratic jargon, OPSEC, classified material, procedures. But for anyone who has served, it's life and death. You don't reveal sensitive details. You don't cut corners with secrets. It's the backbone of mission integrity. So when Cisneros accused the defense secretary of mishandling classified information, it wasn't just a slap on the wrist. It was an accusation of betrayal. He spelled it out plainly. If a private or a corporal had done what Hegseth allegedly did, their career would be over, discharged, maybe even court-martialed. The message was unmistakable rules that bind everyone else suddenly don't seem to apply to the powerful. The double standard stung, because every veteran watching knew the truth. Discipline only matters when it's enforced equally, and when leaders flaunt those rules, morale collapses. But Cisneros didn't stop there. He pivoted to something even more personal: money. Budgets, the lifeline of military readiness. He accused Hegseth of gutting the very programs that keep service members alive and housed quality-of-life initiatives. Barracks maintenance, medical infrastructure, all raided, Cisneros said, to fund Trump's political priorities. That wasn't just a financial critique, it was moral indictment. He was essentially asking, how do you claim to honor the troops while taking from them to serve one man's ego? Because every dollar stripped from a barracks is a soldier sleeping in mold. Every cut to healthcare is a veteran untreated. And every diversion of funds to political theater is a betrayal of the uniform. Then came one of the sharpest blows of all Hegseth's hypocrisy on merit. He had proudly declared in past speeches that he valued ability over ideology, that every soldier rose or fell by their performance. Cisneros demolished that claim in seconds. He cited the purge's thousands of decorated service members, people with stellar evaluations, commendations, early promotions, forced out not for failing at their jobs, but for who they were, their gender identity, their background, their politics. That revelation cut deep because it showed the rot spreading through the ranks. Meritocracy had become a talking point, not a principle. And for Cisneros, a veteran who understood that integrity and unity were the glue that kept the military from fracturing. It was unforgivable. But the most emotional moment of all came when Cisneros brought up Harvey Milk. The name alone carries weight. A Navy diver, a Korean War veteran, a man who later became one of the first openly gay elected officials in America and who paid with his life for daring to exist openly. Hegseth, in public comments, had dismissed Milk as inconsistent with the warrior ethos. That phrase, in Cisneros' hands, became an indictment. He turned it back on Hegseth like a blade. If Harvey Milk doesn't fit your definition of a warrior, maybe the problem isn't Milk. Maybe the problem is you. That was the turning point. The air seemed to thicken. In that moment, Cisneros wasn't just defending a legacy, he was defending every service member who has ever been told they don't belong. Because patriotism isn't about who you love, it's about whether you're willing to serve, sacrifice, and stand for something bigger than yourself. Cisneros ended by tearing away the final veil. He accused Hegseth of being the only man in the Pentagon who could call his position merit-based only if you define merit as blind loyalty to Donald Trump. The line was brutal. It wasn't just a personal insult, it was a diagnosis of a system corrupted by fealty instead of excellence. That accusation hit home because it summed up what many Americans have felt for years, that the Trump era replaced competence with devotion, duty with flattery, and service with submission. In that single exchange, Cisneros captured the entire tragedy of a government where loyalty to one man outweighed loyalty to country. What made it all resonate so deeply was that Cisneros wasn't speaking as a partisan. He was speaking as a soldier. His anger wasn't political, it was patriotic. It came from watching an institution he loved being twisted into a political weapon. He didn't yell. He didn't grandstand. He did something rarer. He spoke with moral authority. And when it was over, when Hegseth sat stone-faced under the glare of the cameras, everyone watching could feel that this wasn't just a clash between a congressman and a cabinet secretary. It was a collision between two visions of America, one rooted in accountability, integrity, and service, the other in arrogance, entitlement, and blind loyalty. Cisneros reminded the nation that the military's purpose is not to serve a president, it's to serve the Constitution. That history, merit, and ethics are not optional accessories to power, they are the foundation of it. And in the end, what he left behind wasn't outrage, it was clarity. If we forget the lessons of history, if we allow political loyalty to outweigh moral courage, we risk hollowing out every institution meant to protect us. So the next time someone claims to support the troops, Cisneros' words will echo back. Support them how? With parades and slogans? Or with honesty, fairness, and the resources they deserve? Because patriotism without accountability isn't patriotism at all, it's propaganda. If this breakdown made you think deeper about what real leadership looks like, hit like, subscribe to Liberal Lounge, and turn on notifications. Tell us what you think. Should military leadership ever be used for political optics? And do you believe loyalty to power has replaced loyalty to principle? Your voice matters because in times like these, silence is the most dangerous weapon of all.